So, welcome, guys. I hope everyone's having a great day. Yeah, this week has been a little bit crazy, to be honest. Um, I think we've all kind of been struggling to trade the volatility that Bitcoin has been experiencing throughout this whole week. Um, so yeah, let's get started. I don't know, obviously, if you guys have been following the signals that I've been putting out there. So, like, initially, I kind of was saying that, you know, this is like I don't know, it's like 2 weeks ago, where I initially had like a short entry. Um, so I was shorting Bitcoin from resistance, which was basically defined. I've taken it off now because obviously we broke above that resistance initially, but I was basically defining resistance between around 84,300, so around this level here, to around 85,100. So I'll just initially draw what I was obviously thinking on there. So this was basically our level of resistance initially. um, and we obviously broke above that resistance like Wednesday evening. So we basically saw this wick down and then bounce. So we actually bounced quite nicely on this area here, which was acting as some form of resistance. I wouldn't really say it was like huge amount of resistance, but it was obviously this previous high here that we then obviously broke through, and then we gave the retest here, and then obviously this was our resistance zone, but we pretty much broke through it and then gave a retest and obviously touched the 87,200 or 87,400, I think it was, but 87,200 was kind of the area I was looking to short, or get into a short potentially. But I was kind of hopeful that, because Bitcoin had broken above this resistance area, then we could possibly go long on the retest. So I think our initial entry was like 85,100, which was around this Fibonacci 38.2 retracement zone here. We obviously got that really nice wick into it, and then we had this three wave move up. Now this is where it was a little bit disappointing. It was a little bit disappointing on Bitcoin because we had this three wave move up. So wave 1, wave 2, nice wave 3. And I was expecting that we would get a 4 and a 5. Now, unfortunately, we obviously didn't get that. So if we draw our fibs here, you can see that. Let me just zoom in a little bit. And I'll take this resistance out because that might be a bit confusing. So yeah, you can see that this is the low, this is the high, and then we basically take our fib down to low. And yeah, you can pretty much see that normally what we say for a third wave is a third wave would reach the 1.382 to 1.618 Fibonacci extension. We reached that. Now, the hope was obviously for trend continuation. That didn't happen. And it was a bit bizarre, actually, because I think Trump was talking at this point and kind of bigging up Bitcoin and saying that, the US is going to be like the biggest, reserve of Bitcoin in the world, and then everything just went to shit. And I don't actually, that's kind of funny. I mean, normally when he talks, good things happen, but clearly in this instance, it's kind of, he's acting a bit like a Jim Cramer, and just being like a reversal signal, basically. So I was kind of hoping that we would obviously hold this area here. So this was pretty much like the resistance flipped support, but we basically just broke through it. We just broke through and we pretty much broke down all the way back into the range that we were looking at. Which is why it's been a bit interesting with this long. Obviously, I had a DCA. I think I had it set to 83,800 or 83,757, something like that. It was basically around this area here. So yeah, I could just put that line back in. I think it was pretty much like here. It was almost pretty much bang on here. So you can see like we tested it, and there was a good reaction. Tested it, fell through. So we're kind of like bouncing between the main 618 golden pocket area here at 83,500 and our DCA entry. So, you know, I am expecting, you know, I'm not obviously saying it will happen, but this is why I'm in a long. I am expecting that Bitcoin will work its way up to at least around 90,200. That is what I would like to see. First indication that we may be on our way there would be breaking above this trend line. So I want to see Bitcoin break above this trend line that we have. We haven't got 3 touch points yet, so I mean it's technically maybe not correct, but I would like to see it touch this trend line, maybe a small pullback, and then we break through. So yeah, the idea is that if Bitcoin can break back above the 50% Fibonacci retracement level, which in turn will probably cause us to break through the trend line, then we can go higher. This is what I really, really want to see on Bitcoin. You know, I admit, you know, would I mind if Bitcoin at this point broke down and, you know, basically went to 70k? I wouldn't really mind. I mean, it's a good opportunity. I've been eyeing it up for a long while, but I would like to see at least some strength in Bitcoin, that we get to around the 90k level. Now, my final DCA point is around, I think I moved it. I was moving the support levels a little bit, but my DCA is pretty much still as it stands. I think it was around here. It was around this level of support here, which was 82,500 or 82,600. That is basically like the last entry where like we could possibly get a wick and then get back above that trend line and continue. That's basically the reason for that final entry down there. If Bitcoin breaks below my stop loss here and it sustains a break below it, so if we see Bitcoin breaking out and then just breaking here and just consolidating here, I will obviously assume that obviously the trade is no longer valid anymore. We basically just will have to close. I mean, I think I did say a 4-hour close below this level, but that would be my short signal at that point, and it would be my assumption that Bitcoin will be going to that one more low that I've been eyeing up at around 74,000. But again, as I mentioned, I really, really would like to see Bitcoin retest at least the 90,200 region before it decides to just catapult down into the 70s. So what I'd like to see happen is we break above, we continue to push, we get to this 90,000 region, and then at that point, there are 2 options that can happen at this point, right? So for me to say that the low is in, i.e. this low that formed on the 11th of March at 76,600, for me to say that this low is in for Bitcoin we would have to get above this area here at 95,000. So this region is basically a must, right? We can't say that Bitcoin is going to get to 130, 140k, which is my bull market target, if Bitcoin does not break above this level, because this was kind of like the range that we were trading in, and obviously we broke below it, but we really, really need to see Bitcoin break above the 95k level and continue upwards. Now, there is no confirmation that Bitcoin will continue to that bull run target if we just remain consolidating down here and failing and down here. I mean, you know, Bitcoin can go sideways for a long while, and that's obviously it's all also gonna depend on news. It's gonna depend on like events, you know, war events, things like that. It's going to depend on the stock market. It's going to depend on the DXY, which is the dollar index. It's going to depend on a lot of things, right? So, you know, we're at a very good area right now. I do still think that Bitcoin, maybe on the weekend, I mean, weekends are generally quiet, but potentially on the weekend, they do say that Bitcoin eventually catches up with gold. We know, looking at gold, that gold has been flying, right? I mean, I know this is like not crypto related, but if it kind of, everything's related one way or another, put it that way. But if we look at gold, I mean, gold is pretty much like all-time high. Like, I think all-time high was like $3,000 for an ounce, right? So, but Bitcoin's lagging behind. Bitcoin has not got there yet. And obviously you've got stock market in a bit of a situation at the moment. So regardless what happens, I think at the very, very least, we should be seeing a relief rally to that 90,000 region. Now, there is obviously a large trend line that has been since like the end of January, right? This is a trend line that we touched here. We didn't reach it on this occasion, but there is a good chance that we reach it on this occasion if Bitcoin obviously attempts to go higher at this point. I do expect a strong rejection here. So that would be a good short opportunity if one were to take it at 90,200. I might even post it as a signal. I mean, these levels are essentially areas to watch anyway. So, yeah, definitely target for Bitcoin, 90,200. I expect rejection. The prediction is that in the next 4 or 5 days, we push up. So the bulls actually push up and we get to that zone. And then next week, we may reject from it. That's my prediction. I'm not saying it will happen. You know, this all becomes invalidated if we break below this level here at 81,940. For me, that's like do or die. We break below that level and we sustain a break below that level. I'm not just talking a wick, but I'm talking like hang around that level. Like, for instance, how we've been doing here, where we've been hanging around this kind of 83,800, 84,000 level for, you know, at least about, you know, a day or so. If we are just basically hanging around like that, then that would be my cue to close the long trade, because that's obviously showing a sign of weakness. Typically what you would like to see, so if we zoom in a little bit, what we would like to see is, if we take a fib, we would like to, you see how basically we were sitting on the golden pocket 618 area. That is basically where you would like to see a reversal. So you really ideally would want to see your kind of end of line reversal here. There is obviously one more level, which is the 786, which is pretty much near where I've got my DCA, right? So that's why I said worst, absolute worst case scenario, Bitcoin decides to do a little flush and then off we go. Very possible, hence the DCA. But as I said, if we lose this level and we just consolidate, yeah, that's not good. Bad news. I'd cut the trade. So that is Bitcoin. Now Ethereum, I know I'm always cussing Ethereum, but Ethereum looks a little bit more promising actually. So, you know, we had this good rally a couple of days ago. So we had this rally up to basically pretty much, yeah, like 2069, something like that. This is pretty much what I wanted to see Ethereum do. So we were kind of in this like ascending triangle, and basically resistance for us was like 1956. We broke very nicely above that, and obviously we had this strong pullback where again Ethereum is technically sitting at that 618 level, and we have bounced off of it. Now this is obviously on the micro level. This is basically on the 1 hour level. There was a trend line that I drew. We have broken above it. So, you know, it's a good sign. I mean, at this point, I really, really would like to see Ethereum, Bitcoin reverse at this point. My target for Ethereum, at the very, very least, would be getting around this level here, maybe 2,134. I would like to see Ethereum at least rally to that level. And then obviously, you know, there is a chance that, I mean, there's a strong chance that Ethereum would get rejected from this point. What I'd be looking at with Ethereum is that if we do break and continue higher and we get to 2,100 and we pull back, that 3-wave pullback, I'd like to see us hold that for trend continuation. Okay. If we don't hold that, then I think that's when we start the downward progression into potentially a new low. So that is that's Ethereum. And you know, obviously this bull run, we know with bull markets, right? When Ethereum starts running, then the alts will start running after Ethereum has had its run. Ethereum hasn't had its run yet, but it could be preparing for it. And I think we need to watch out for that. And that's probably all there is to say on Ethereum. I mean, you know, when you look at Ethereum on the larger time frame, by larger I mean let's just say 4 hour, we're still pretty far away from where we really, really need to get to. I mean, we even just look at the daily, right? We are still pretty damn far away from getting back above this trend line that we were holding since like June 2022, and then obviously getting to the kind of bull market target I had, which was between $5,000 and $7,000. We're a really long way from that. I don't see it happening in the next 3-4 months. It may happen, but it just seems relatively unlikely. But you never know. Ethereum could surprise us. But Ethereum has been pretty weak against Bitcoin. Probably for the past couple of years, to be honest. I mean, it's been weak for a while against Bitcoin. So yeah, I literally am just keeping an eye on it. On the smaller time frame, just watching those levels as I described. And, you know, if we see a good reversal, I would like to see Ethereum get to at least $2,100, maybe $2,130, something like that. Let's take a look at USDT dominance. So, yeah, USDT dominance, we can see that. Let me just clean this up a little bit. So, just take these off. These are just where I was messing around. So yeah, basically USDT dominance previously touched this trend line here. So again, this trend line has been going on for, you know, quite a while. It's basically almost 2 years, probably just shy of 2 years. So we've touched it a few times. Touch here, touch here. Here at 3.77% is pretty much acting as support for USDT dominance. Now, what we could see, and this would be in line with Bitcoin going to 90K, is that we fall below this level of support, which was around 5.21%, and we fall back down to 4.62%. Now, that could mean that Bitcoin gets its rally to 90K. Just looking at it on the smaller time frame. Let's have a look. Yeah, so I mean, that would be a good target in my opinion. That would be a good target for USDT dominance to just continue this downtrend. This would essentially be retesting resistance turn support though. So I think, me personally, if I'm longing, which I am longing, and I see us get to this level here on USDT dominance, long in Bitcoin by the way, so when we get to this level, if we get to it on USDT dominance, that would probably where I'd be profit taking. I would be looking to close at least a good chunk of my longs, because yeah, this is gonna act as major support for USDT dominance. And I do not expect USDT dominance to just lose this level and cut through. I do not expect that to happen at all. So yeah, definitely a good profit taking at that point. Not too much else to say on it. I think we're obviously trading in a couple of regions here. This was obviously the range that we were trading in. And then obviously we broke above and we were trading in this range up here. The problem that I'm seeing is that obviously if we do come back and test down here, then there is a good chance that we come back and retest this trend line. That I think is where the pullback will happen on Bitcoin. So if you correlate it with Bitcoin going to 90,000 and we get that pullback, the question will then be, when USDT dominance gets to this trend line, this resistance here, will it reject or will it just break through? I think we're just gonna have to really keep an eye on that, to be honest. We really just want to see USDT dominance break down, continue to break down, and that is essentially our bull run. But as I said, I'm not super optimistic that we're gonna get, crazy X's on altcoins. I mean, with Bitcoin, I can see Bitcoin, as I said, at least going to 130, 140,000. But again, that is all going to depend on these factors that I've mentioned. So another one I was looking at was Solana. So, let me just clean this up a little bit. So, yeah, with Solana, I am tracking a potential upwards move to the 134, 135 region. This to me is potentially some kind of triangle that we're in. It's not very well formed yet, but I am keeping an eye out for it. If we go down to the 15-minute level, then we can kind of draw a trend line, right? We can draw this trend line here that we've been respecting for the past, I'd say past day or so. We've tested this trend line a couple of times now. obviously moving down in the process. But this trend line here, this longer trend line, is going to act as support, essentially. We've also got some confluences down here. Sorry, I've been talking all day, so I think my throat is failing me right now. So basically, if we draw our fib here, so yeah, I mean, you can see that Solana was basically bobbling along this very important golden pocket, 618 golden pocket, that you'll hear me talk about a lot. But then obviously it broke through earlier today. It reacted nicely to the 786. Now, I don't want to see Solana break down that $124 level. Well, there you go. I mean, look at that pump. Literally live action pump, right? Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty nice to see. So, if this is not just a scam pump, which I'd like to think it's not, then this is a good indication that the temporary bottom is in. Sorry, let me just take a bit of a drink. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that was a crazy pump, actually. That was a really nice pump. I was going to mention that we were seeing some hidden bullish divergence down here. So if you see here, we basically made a new low. But if you look at the RSI, on the RSI, you can see that we actually have bullish divergence here. So the RSI is like at 39.40 when we made the new low. And if you look at the previous low, which was obviously higher, we can see that the RSI was a lot lower. It's a nice bump. I'm really happy with this. I'm happy with this purely because we're breaking out of this trend line. I'm actually curious to see how's Bitcoin looking. So, okay, well, I mean, Solana's pumping, but Bitcoin's kind of getting there, which I suppose is a good thing. Let me just go back to Solana. So, yeah, that's a really nice pump for Solana. I'm happy to see. I'm happy to see alts pumping, even though I've been, shorting previously. But it kind of gets a little bit depressing shorting all the time because you want to see things pump a little bit, right? Like, yeah, it's good to see Solana pumping. So this is quite good. This is actually a really good live example right now. So what I would like to see, as I said, for Solana is that we basically, at least short-term wise, get to at least $135. This 15-minute candle is closing in like 9 minutes, so it'll be nice. It'll be nice for this 15-minute candle to close above this trend line, because that is a good indicator that we will push higher. I'd also like to see a few candle closes above this 50% retracement level here at $128.8. You could see that this is acting as some form of resistance. So, yeah, what I would like to see from Solana, and we've kind of seen the first part of it, right, is this breakout of the trend line, possible retest, and upward continuation. This is what I would like to see on Solana right now. I'm actually in a Solana long at the moment. I didn't call it, but I just wanted to have Bitcoin. I just kind of like to do one trade at a time, to be honest. When I'm giving out signals, I don't want people to be kind of overexposed. So, but this is kind of a good sign for Solana. This is pretty much what we want to see. And it's not getting eaten up too quickly, which is a good thing as well, right? So this is positive. Now, we could probably take a look at some other coins. By the way, if you guys have any requests, do let me know. Doggy is looking potentially quite good. So let's take that trend line. Also quite good, right? So we've broken out of this trend line. Let's take a fib from low to high. Okay, so this is on the very small time frame here. So we've got the wave 1 on a small time scale, wave 2 pullback, and remember what I said about target for third waves: 1.382 to 1.618 fib extension. We did reach that. I wouldn't really class this red candle here as a wave 4 pullback. Normally a wave 4 pullback is a little bit deeper. Normally what you're looking for a wave 4 pullback is into the 618 or 50% retracement level. Yeah, we didn't get there. So this is just the third wave extending. So this is still a 3-wave move, okay? So be careful here, because there is obviously a chance that when we get a pullback, this could fail. With this pump, I'm not expecting it to fail. As I said, with Bitcoin, hopefully Bitcoin could push to 90k. And we could obviously have upward continuation, possibly on alts as well, which we might be seeing, which is nice. Let's just quickly go back to USDT. Yeah, we can see, and this is obviously the cause of that pump, right? So USDT dominance is obviously dropping. I've taken quite a few lines off the chart just to not confuse people, but I did previously have some lines. But yeah, you can see we had this. Let me just try and make this as accurate as possible. Yeah, something like that. I'd say something like that. That looks good. 1 touch point, 2, 3, breakdown. Yeah, this is good. So, you know, at the very least, we've got this level here to watch. 5.25% on the USDT dominance. So I do expect a little bit more pumping from alts, but this is a reasonably good sign. Like, this is why I always say that looking at USDT dominance and Bitcoin together is like one of the most important things you can do, right? Because now we've lost this trend line. I'm expecting continuation to at least 5.25, possible slight pullback, maybe retest, but I don't see it going up that high, to be honest. What I see is basically going down and possible breakthrough. Not sure if we would break and go below this 5.21% level, but at least that will give the alts a good pump, right? So this is a good sign. This is a good sign. This is showing strength in Bitcoin and the alts. You can see here. I mean, look at that. Bitcoin is now pushing, right? This is what we want. This is what we want to see. Yeah, because I think we had a 20% entry at 85,100 and a 30% entry at 83,700 and something. So yeah, we should be approaching before entry. I need to look at my trade. I haven't actually looked at my profits yet, but I'm not too bothered about it because, as I said, reasonably confident that Bitcoin can push higher, and that is what I expect. So any requests? Okay, yeah, Solana. So yeah, sorry, I stayed on Solana for like 2 seconds, then jumped away from it. But yeah, Solana's good at the moment. That's a good push from Solana. Again, as I said, still a 3-wave move, but this is kind of what you want to see with Solana. I am expecting continuation to the upside, as I mentioned. Probably take these off, clean it up a little bit. So yeah, with Solana, I am expecting kind of like this triangle pattern with higher lows, lower highs, something like that, possible breakout. That would be the ideal scenario. That would be a good sign. It would possibly imply that the low has been reached. Solana actually reached the bottom level of my buy zone. So it's possible. It is possible. But again, everything depends on Bitcoin, right? Everything depends on Bitcoin. But breaking out of this major trend line would be a really good sign for Solana. Again, as I said, I would say maybe expecting $135, possibly $140. But at that point, we need to see, obviously, do we break out of this trend line or do we reject? It could also be possibly correlating with where Bitcoin would be at the time. So we need to make sure that we keep an eye on that. Another coin I was looking at was HBAR. So HBAR is still kind of concerning me a little bit because it did have this nice pump out of this trend line, and we've obviously come back down to retest the previous lows, but we are not really seeing too much of a pump from HBAR. I was going to take this trade. I probably could have just been scalping this, to be honest, because it's been bouncing off the entry like multiple times. But we are possibly getting some kind of rounded edge on HBAR. So yeah, it's definitely one that I'm keeping an eye on. I'm not sure if we can maybe draw how we draw this trend line. There's not really too much of a good way to draw this at the moment. I suppose you could probably have something like this. Yeah, maybe we might see a push to around the 21-cent, 22-cent area, possibly before a rejection. But I think HBAR's got quite a long way to go. I'm still not very convinced by it. We are obviously holding this macro 618 level, this golden pocket area here. So this would be a level that you would expect a reversal of some sort. But again, if I do take the trade, which I've been hesitant about, just because I want to see how this plays out a little bit. But yeah, obviously the stops would be below the lows here. All right, if anyone has any requests, do let me know. Any coins. Someone said, let's have a look. Sorry, you know what? People have been posting, and oh no, people haven't been posting. I'm just being stupid. Don't worry. I was thinking, damn, did I miss out all of this? But yeah, I mean, V previously mentioned XRP. I know he's like a super XRP fan, so you can have a look at XRP actually. Yeah, so this was just like a trade idea. I'm not really expecting it to just drop in this triangle that it's formed or forming. But it's hard to tell with XRP because XRP has had such a run, right? It's had such a run. Literally from the lows here at like 50 cents. And we've obviously broken out of this very long 5-year or 4-year triangle, right? So yeah, I mean, it's gonna take a lot for XRP to even get anywhere near back down these levels again. To be honest, if we ever get a bear market and XRP comes back to these levels, and I'm talking like between 60 and 90 cents, this is a buy zone. Like, not financial advice, but I mean, I wouldn't even think about it. I would just buy here because that's crazy. Like, you get an XRP at this level, it would be crazy. Like, it's a really good buy. Okay, now whether XRP is forming some kind of triangle or it's forming some kind of bullish pennant, hard to say at the moment. What I would like to see, maybe I'll just remove that just to not obviously confuse people, but what I would like to see for upward continuation is obviously something like that, right? At the moment, we are pretty much kind of just like bouncing around the midline here. I mean, yeah, I mean, this is, again, this is still looking like a three-wave move. Remember what I said about three-wave moves? Three-wave moves are not obviously guaranteed of upward continuation, right? So we want to see upward continuation, bullish continuation. And for that, we typically want to see a five-wave move up, right? So if we just take our fib on XRP, let me just shift this a little bit. So you can see where we previously reacted. Previously reacted at 382. Take it on a higher level. Yeah, again, take it from low to high, pretty much reacted on 382 here. So there's a good chance that XRP will continue, but obviously we have some form of resistance up here, 2.835 cents. So there is a chance that obviously we continue. There's this kind of minor resistance here as well. I mean, I guess you could probably count that as resistance, but yeah, I see probably this trend line along with the highs here more as a resistance. So I'll probably just end up taking it off. I would see this more as resistance. So we could get a push up with XRP to around the 2.835 cent level. This could potentially be a good short setup actually. So you could have your short setup like this, have your stops just above the higher over here, because you know you sometimes get market makers wanting to kind of like wick you out. So definitely stops just above that, and then this could be potentially a short trade setup if we get to that point, and then obviously reject back down. So definitely a good short setup there. Just gonna add an alarm for that as well, just in case we get to that level. Cool. Any other requests from anyone, or anything anyone wants me to talk about in specific? If not, I might just end it early purely because my throat is like dying right now. And I was at the doctor and I basically just need some fluids. But if there is anything else anyone wants me to have a look at, please let me know, even if it's in the chat, like just in the premium signals chat. Just let me know. I just want to quickly go back to Solana because I'm curious. Looks so much better on the 15-minute time frame. Yeah, I might even add that trend line back actually. Might even add that back. Yeah, so I kind of said that we'd have a pump and potentially a retest. We're kind of retesting that now, right? Retesting that zone now. So let's see if it's just like a scam pump and then just like crash back down, trapping everyone. I hope not, because I would genuinely like to see everything pumping as much as possible, and obviously Bitcoin to pump as well. So it looks close though. I mean, I feel like we are getting to a point where Bitcoin is going to push and break through. So definitely keep an eye on that. I am definitely going to put an alert on this trend line as well, so that if we break past that, if no one's in a long yet, it might be a good time to long. Really, that's what I was kind of like longing around this level here, or at least the DCA was at this level here, because we're kind of preempting this breakout, right? Which is why we've got like clear invalidation points down here. Remember, this is not so much a scalp because we've obviously had multiple entry points a lot higher up. There's one at 85,000, one here. There was one here, and obviously our stop loss is here. So you can see there's quite some space between the levels, right? So make sure you're not risking a lot. Make sure you're only risking like, 3 to 5% maximum of your port. Risk management is like the most important thing. You will always succeed if you have proper risk management, even if you lose a couple of trades. With applying the same risk management method, you will basically end up gaining at the end of it. So yeah. But yeah, I think I'm probably gonna just like end it early, purely because like my throat is like dying. How to know if a coin got scam pumped? That's a good question, It is a very good question. Normally what you would see is you would see like a massive wick and then just complete failure. That's typically what I mean by a scam pump. Normally it's like a bull trap or a bear trap or something like that. It's just basically market makers looking to grab liquidity. That's pretty much what the wicks essentially are. I mean, typically, I'll just give you an example, but typically, like on Bitcoin, for instance, right? Typically, wicks in general are like a really, really good reversal signal. Not all the time, but most of the time they are. For instance, this wick here, like, was like proper capitulation almost, and then pretty much like pumped, but then dumped. I mean, that was a bit of a crazy week, to be honest. What has 100% success rate is Bitcoin being oversold on the RSI. So I'll give you that little tip. Whenever you see Bitcoin oversold on the RSI, like here for instance is oversold Bitcoin, when Bitcoin was at like 78,000, that is a good time to accumulate, because as you saw, when we accumulated, Bitcoin went to around 95,000. Yeah, sure, it went back down again, but as you could see, when it went back down again, we had this bullish divergence here, right? Again, RSI is a little bit not as oversold, but obviously we went a little bit lower. Again, good indication that buyers are coming back and we will potentially be reversing upwards, and that's pretty much what we've been doing here. Cool. Okay. Yeah, so I think that's probably all I'm going to talk about today. Keep an eye out. I would really like to see this 4-hour candle on Bitcoin close here, above the previous 4-hour candle. I'd like to basically see it as an engulfing candle, and it looks like we're kind of curling up for a potential move to the upside. The weekend's going to be interesting, and I hope the weekend is bullish. Sorry for anyone who's shorting, but I've kind of had my fair share of shorts, so I'm looking for a bullish weekend. Let's see if we can keep up the momentum. And thank you very much for everyone for joining the stream. And let's just keep holding on to our longs that we have and hope for the best. Cool. Peace out, guys.